Welcome to the Man United stream. Hope you're doing well. It's the weekend and we've got Spurs against Manchester United coming up later on today. It's going to be an interesting game. Let's hope Manchester United can move up that level and win against Spurs today. Hopefully everyone is geared up for that and everyone's hyped. I'm hyped, so let's go. But before we go and watch that game, we've got another massive issue to discuss that broke out yesterday. It was news reports that the Glazers were not going to sell Manchester United. That is what we're hearing from news reports, and lots of other sources have come out and said the same thing, that the Glazers are going to come out and make an announcement that they will not be selling Manchester United, which isn't a shock to me. And I've been saying this for months now, that the Glazers do not look like owners that are looking to sell at this stage. All the movements that they've been making on the summer transfer market and within the club do not look like they are owners that are looking to leave the club anytime soon. Think about it, they're not willing to pay Harry Maguire $7 million exit fee and get rid of him. Why? They'd rather keep him rather than spend more money buying Pavard. So they've instructed Richard Arnold, the CEO of Manchester United, not to pay Maguire his exit fees and keep him at the club, despite Ten Hag wanting Maguire out of the club. And this whole Mason Greenwood issue, do you think it's a coincidence? Do you think it's a coincidence why Richard Arnold is fighting to keep Mason Greenwood at the club? There is a reason behind it. Because the Glazers, number one, do not want to lose an asset of the club. And number two, they don't want to go out there and buy another striker for Ten Hag. They know automatically that if Mason Greenwood is taken out of the club, that Ten Hag will come back to them and say that he needs another striker as a replacement, and they do not want to go out there and spend that money on a new striker. All these moves by the Glazers point to one thing, that they're not willing to sell the club and they want to carry on as owners of Manchester United going forward. And we heard in the same report yesterday that the Glazers had in fact not even responded to any of the offers made to them for their club. And in particular, the offer made by Sheikh Yassim for above £5.5 billion. They didn't even have the decency to go back to Sheikh Yassim and accept that the offer has been made and acknowledge that the offer has been made and discuss what the position was going forward. The Glazers have left everyone in the dark on the sale of Manchester United, including their own agents, the Rain Group, who don't have a clue what the Glazers are actually deciding behind closed doors. What is going on with the Glazers? And I'll give you a quite simple explanation what is going on with the Glazers. The Glazers never intended to sell the club from the word go. The statement that they made last November, if you read it in a bit more detail and work out what they're trying to say, there's no real mention of them trying to sell the club. That's a second or third alternative for them. The primary thing out of that announcement that the Glazers wanted was investment, an investment from somebody who just wants to put money down in the club but does not want to run the club and does not care about football in its entirety. The Glazers just wanted the money to be able to go out there and buy new players, spend on the infrastructure and give them a boost of finances without having to sell the club itself. I've been saying this for a long time. The Glazers are not going to leave Manchester United willingly because they don't have to. They are getting paid money without having to work. They don't have to do anything for the club. Since they bought the club in 2005, the Glazers have not even had to put any money into the club. The Manchester United was a club that ran itself. It was making its own income, and that's what the Glazers have been just relying upon. They've been relying upon the successes of Manchester United. In fact, the Glazers have taken out over £1 billion from Manchester United for their own personal gain. That is crazy to think about it. They've taken so much money out of the club without putting zero into the club. They're not even willing to put any money down to fix the stadium. That's how bad these owners are. And we as fans need to be aware of this. I think there's lots of fans out there who don't fully get what the Glazers have been up to since 2005. Since they bought Manchester United, they've not done anything for Manchester United. And this is why when fans are complaining about having them out of the club, this is why we're doing it. We're doing it because we know that the difference from 2005 to 2023 is vast. Where we were one of the biggest clubs in the world, the richest clubs in the world, we're no longer at that position. Our stadium is one of the worst ones in the UK. We're struggling to buy players for 30 million. We're having to wait on sales before we can go out there and buy a player for 30 million in Sofian Amrabat. That is the state of our club right now, unfortunately. And we're discussing things like Mason Greenwood, and we're discussing whether we can sell Harry Maguire or not. These things, I can tell you 100% will not be on the table of discussion if the Glazers were not in charge of Manchester United. It's because of the Glazers and how they've let the standards at Manchester United drop so low, right into the gutter, that we're discussing these kind of things. So what do I think about this report? I think there are some elements of truth within it, but I do believe that the Glazers have no choice but to sell the club right now, because the backlash that they will receive will be on another level. It'd be huge. Billions and billions of fans around the world want them out, and the media have been waiting for a sale announcement for such a long time, and they'll receive an awesome backlash which will never die down no matter what happens to Manchester United. They can't come out and say that they're not going to sell the club, because that's going to have a massive backlash. But what they will do is say that they've not been satisfied with what's been put on the table in offers, and they'll be looking at further options going forward. What the Glazers really want is someone to come in and make an offer for the club that's completely ridiculous, 10 times more than what the value of the club is right now. And that is what got leaked last week by chairman of Cardiff City. He came out and said that the Glazers were looking to sell the club 10 times what the market value of it was, in the region of £7.7 billion. And that's what the Glazers are looking for. They want someone crazy enough to come in and bid that kind of money. They were hoping that it would be Sheikh Yassim and the Qataris, because they've got lots of money, and that is why they've been waiting on the Qataris to make a bigger offer before they sell the club. And that hasn't happened. Sheikh Yassim has stuck to his offer and hasn't come in and made an increased bid. So right now the Glazers are stuck in a rock and a hard place. They don't actually know what to do. That's why they've been delaying the announcements for such a long time. The Glazers know that if they come out and say that they're not going to sell the club, it's going to be all mayhem, and they know that if they do sell the club, they will not be getting what they want, which is a lot more money. It's all about money and greed for the Glazers. We already have established that. We already know that the Glazers don't care about anything. They don't care about the fans. They don't care about the club. They don't care about the standards. They don't care about anything to do with Manchester United and its success. All they care about is their pocket and their bank balance at the end of the day. And if they don't get the money that they want, they are not going to leave Manchester United willingly. They will have to be forced out of Manchester United, because they will not want to leave this cash cow right now. Because let's be honest, Manchester United has been feeding the Glazers for years, and the Glazers have been loving it because they're not having to do anything, and they keep on getting this kind of money from Manchester United. Millions each year go into the back pockets of the Glazers, and they're thinking they've hit the jackpot. They don't need to sell this club. They will hold on to it, and it keeps on increasing in value. But my question is, how long will the Glazers hold on to Manchester United until they have to leave? The thing is, Manchester United will stop growing in value. There's other clubs around Manchester United now that are coming up and becoming bigger and better and more valuable than Manchester United. And there will be a point where the Glazers will bleed the club dry with nothing left to give, and that is when they will leave, if they willingly leave. We can't wait for that stage. We need for them to get out now, so it gives us the ability to go out there and catch up on all the rest of the clubs and become one of the biggest clubs in the world like we were to begin with. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. What do you think about all this takeover saga? What do you think about the reports coming out yesterday about the Glazers not selling? What would you think if the Glazers came out and announced today that they were not going to sell the club? What would be your reactions? But to end it on a positive note, I believe that the Glazers have got no choice but to sell the club, and this is why they're delaying the announcement as long as possible, hoping that someone else, another bidder, comes in and makes an offer higher than what they've already received, because they have no other alternative. They want to sell the club now because they know that the backlash is just going to be too much for them to handle. It's going to cause them so much reputational damage, and there's only two Glazers who are really wanting to hold on to Manchester United, and that is Avram Glazer and Joel Glazer. The rest of the family sit back in the USA and do not care about the club at all. These two jokers who do care about the club only care about the club as far as it makes them money, and they want to carry on taking that money out of Manchester United. That is all it is. Joel Glazer and Avram Glazer are the ones who want to carry on at Manchester United and are the ones that usually turn up to the big games. But the reality is, for all the Glazers, is that they're going to have to sell Manchester United sooner or later because the fans are not having any of it. The more and more time passes, the more fans realise what the Glazers have been up to and how Manchester United are falling far behind the rest of the footballing world in terms of buying players, in terms of infrastructure. Without having solid foundations, the club can't grow. We're giving Ten Hag an impossible task to deal with here. He's got owners of the clubs that are complete jokes. They don't care about what's going on the pitch. So how can Ten Hag compete with that? How can he go on and make the team a better team while still having to deal with owners like this? He needs owners that understand the game of football and understand what is going on in the world of football and what fans really want from their teams. What shocks me is the media and the journalists out there who are not doing anything, not doing any investigative journalism out there, going out there and finding out why the Glazers haven't sold the club yet. Why haven't the journalists and the media challenged the Glazers as to what they're doing with the club? Why isn't no one knocking their door down and saying, what the hell is going on? Why haven't you sold Manchester United when you've said that you will be doing? What are you doing with these bids? Why haven't you responded to these bids? They've been made by two very reputable parties, decent businessmen. They've come out and they made these bids, huge bids, world record bids, but yet you've not even had the decency to respond to them. That is not how Manchester United operate. They're not that kind of club. They're a decent club. They've always been decent, and yet the Glazers have come in and destroyed the very fabric of Manchester United. But we've seen that the Glazers are fully in charge because of the transfer window. They're still calling all the shots with all the new signings, and they're calling all the shots in terms of who can leave and who's not leaving. They want Maguire to stay because they can't afford to buy another centre-back. They want Mason Greenwood to stay because they can't afford to buy another striker. And that's the end of it. They don't care about anything else. All they care about is the bottom line, which is the money that's going out of the club. They don't care about the fallout. They don't care about the standards. They don't care about any of the moral issues. They don't care about anything else. The Glazers only care about money and their back pocket. The Glazers look at it in simple terms. Can we make money out of this, or can we not make money out of this? If they can make money out of this or save money, they're going to take that option no matter what the fallout of it is. That is the Glazers to a T. Anyway guys, hit that like button. Like I said, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. You are watching the Man United Streamer channel by the fans for the fans.